Hello guys, welcome back to another video. It's been a crazy few days for all the One Piece fans, all the One Piece TCG fans. We've had some really cool, crazy reveals over the weekend with the One Piece Day, and we capped it all off with the Wave 1 CS Finals over here in Japan. And we finally got the long-awaited ban reveal announcement. And I just want to make a quick little video going over some of the new cards, talking about obviously like Roger, and at the very end just going over the ban list, talking about that real quick. And I'll definitely make some other videos going more in depth on everything, doing some talking about what the meta might look like, maybe doing some predictive tier list. But just for now, I wanted to do a quick little video going over everything. So without any further ado, let's just jump in and let's get started. Alright, so as you can see from here on the screen, you might be able to get a glimpse into the main things we're going to be talking about. If you haven't seen or if you haven't heard already, we'll get to it in the video, so let's just jump in. One of the new cards, sorry for the bad quality on this image, we don't have the full quality of all the cards just yet, but there were quite a few new cards that were revealed during the One Piece Day celebrations going on this weekend. And one of them was a cool new 9-cost purple Luffy character that's 9 cost, 10,000 power. On play, you may return one or more Dawn from your Dawn deck, draw one card, and then this character gains Rush for this turn. So kind of like a new alternative to the 9-cost Kaido that's Dawn -5, and you can KO 6 cost or less. And obviously it's searchable with cards like the new 1-cost purple Law Searcher. I think this card's pretty strong. We'll have to see exactly how strong, but I think it's pretty cool. It'll go well in like the new black purple Luffy leader. Obviously any other purple Luffy leader might be able to use it. And it's kind of just like, a decent rusher for purple. Purple's getting a lot of new things this set coming in OP09. And getting some other support cards that are kind of like strengthening other things, like the new 7-cost Sanji that has Rush and can rest a 6 cost or less, which is kind of bonkers. I honestly think that card's probably better than this card, just like overall, but it doesn't mean you can't run both. So we'll see how it does. I actually really like the art. I know some people don't like it, but because it like looks like he's like going Super Saiyan or whatever, but as a huge Dragon Ball fan, I actually really like it. But yeah, that's the new Luffy card. We also got reveals for essentially all of the Yonko, all of the 4 Emperors. So this was the 10-cost Buggy card that kind of caught everyone by surprise a little bit, just because it's a rare. It's not a super rare. We were kind of like wondering how Buggy was going to fit in, because I believe they had already revealed all the super rares for blue. But I guess Bandai was just like, you know what, it's fine, we'll just make them a rare. But yeah, it's a blue 10 cost, 12,000 power. He's got cross guild and 4 Emperors typing. And then on play, return up to one of your opponent's characters to the bottom of their deck. Then if you do not control 5 characters with the cost of 5 or more, return this character to the bottom of the deck. So essentially, when you play this Buggy, which you can play with the Buggy leader effect for 5 Dawn, trashing a card, pay 5 Dawn, you can play this. It's like a red rock, right, for 5 Dawn. And then just with the added benefit of, if you do have 4 other 5 cost or higher characters on board, this would be the 5th one that would obviously be included for the effect, and he gets to stay on the board. So I think, if you can set this up properly, it can be extremely strong. A lot of people are kind of just saying it's going to be terrible, it's like weak, it's not good enough. I actually think with the cross guild stuff, you'll be able to get this effect off like more than you might think. And at the end of the day, I don't know if you should undervalue just it being like a 5-cost red rock. The downside is you do still have to trash a card from your hand in order to play it off a leader effect for 5 Dawn. But I do think there's more spice here than people are giving it credit for. And with if the removal isn't as harsh in the OP09 meta as it was in like 07 and 08, this card could be pretty good. And I'm actually excited to see people cook with this. I'm not really a huge Buggy or Blue fan, so I probably won't be doing a lot of cooking, but I am really excited to see what people do. All right, and then obviously the other new cards, since we've already had the 10 cost Shanks and the 10 cost Blackbeard revealed, I've already gone over those in other videos, so I didn't want to include them here, just for going over the effects and stuff. But at the very end of the One Piece Day like announcement thing that was going on, they did the old like bait and switch where you think it's over and then all of a sudden, bam, they hit us with Gold Roger. Goldie Roger, baby, the Pirate King. He's back. He's here. He's not back. He's here for the first time. And it's our first ever 13,000 power card. Very fitting. I have very mixed feelings about this card. First of all, looks awesome. Super amazing. It's a 10 cost, 13k power. And note that it has the typing of Pirate King, which is super sick. And obviously Roger Pirates. But its effect is Rush. When your opponent activates blocker, if you or your opponent have 0 life, you win the game. So our first like alt win con character card, Nami Leader, is essentially our other like alt win con card that we have in One Piece. This is this is a tough one. This is hard to see how strong it's actually going to be until we see it in play, because like when we got the Kaido Linlin card that came out, a lot of people were worried it was going to break things, but there was enough like hesitation and people just kind of like sitting down and thinking through it and seeing like, okay, it's actually not that strong. But the thing is, and like kind of same thing with like 9 cost Zoro, you look at that card on paper and you're like, oh my god, you're just going to win the game like the next turn. But a lot of the problem is like when you play those cards, your opponent normally always has at least like one turn to either prepare or get rid of it, or like, you know, at least it's not like an immediate thing. With Roger, it's like it's rush, right? So if you can set yourself up for the conditions to be met and you can force your opponent into a position where they're either going to block or lose, you just win the game, right? And yes, even that is like easier said than done, but I do, just my current feelings on this card are it's a little bit more powerful than any of those other cards that we've seen. It's a 13k, which matters a lot because it's just, you know, more counter that you're forcing your opponent to have, and it's still just a rush 13k. Like, it's extremely strong. And the thing that I'm a little worried about here is like, even if it doesn't come out in OP09 as like the broken card that people are worried about it being, it's kind of just always going to be there floating as like, if you do have a red deck or X red deck that can end up making this card just like be almost like a for sure win kind of a thing, it could cause some trouble, or like, you know, it's just, I'm a little worried about this card just because I don't really love alt win cons like that, where it just feels like no matter what your opponent does, they're gonna lose. Like at least Nami, you know what's going on the entire game and you like are doing your best to avoid them winning the whole time. Roger is definitely a card where it's like, it just seems kind of cheesy and gimmicky, and like, if you had told me this effect about like a month ago, I would have just been like, that's not real, that's fake, that's not happening, like that's dumb, they shouldn't do that. And then when you see it in person, you're like, I mean, I had like kind of the same thoughts where it's like, this is kind of dumb, and that's coming from someone who's a huge Red fan. And I love Roger. Obviously, like, there's part of me that's like, this is really cool because he's the freaking Pirate King, and like he's got the first ever 13k stat line. Red really needs the help right now. Shanks seems like he's gonna be really strong, and we're getting really strong cards like the new 5 cost Ace from the starter decks, and the like Ben Beckman and some of the other red hair pirates, and just Shanks leader himself seems like he's gonna be pretty formidable with the support that he's gotten. Stuff like this just worries me a little bit, because it has potential to tamper with just like the balance of the game and the fun that both players are having, and that's always a very tricky line to walk, kind of hard thing to balance. So I hope that if people like me, where I'm a little hesitant and I'm a little worried about the card, I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's like Kaido and Linlin, where it's just really hard to set up, and like at the end of the day, like 9 out of 10 decks, it's just not worth running. So the 1 out of 10 decks that you know can use this card really well, hopefully they're not like already high enough, like high up in the meta to the point where it just becomes like an even more like a win more card on top of the deck already winning more. And hopefully it's just a card where it's like maybe a slightly off meta deck where it's like if they set up everything, they get the cool cheesy win, but it's not something you have to just like lose sleep over, and like something that won't just ruin the meta or something like that, right? I don't think it will outright just like destroy things and make everything like unplayable, but I do think it has the potential to make things kind of wonky and maybe not fun. So I really hope that's not the case, because if it does end up being pretty balanced, then I'm all for it. It'll be a cool card that I will try out in certain red decks. Like I'm really excited to try this in red green Odin, and other decks like that. So we'll see. I'm kind of split. I really don't know. I don't want to like cry wolf here. I don't want to be a doomsdayer, but I also think that this has a little bit more potential than a lot of the other cards where people will just write this off really quickly. I don't think you can write it off quickly. We're gonna have to see how it does in like real testing and real play. But that's all the thoughts I have on it for now. So let's jump into the next thing. All right, it's time to talk about the bans here at the end. If you were watching, or if you saw, or if you've been online in the past, like, I don't know, day or whatever, you've seen that the bans were announced at the end of the Wave 1 CS finals. And I mean, unsurprisingly, it was Law Leader and NES Lobby. Like I was, if you asked me to put money, I would put $100 down on these two cards being banned. The only thing I wasn't sure of is like, is there going to be more stuff being banned? Like, until the 4-cost Lucci SP got revealed, I was wondering maybe they're going to hit 4-cost Lucci. Hitting Moria would be kind of cool just to see what it would do, but you know, since the alt art for that came out in the PRB, we were pretty sure that wasn't going to happen. I do think that this is it. This is enough. Like, I saw this, I'm like, okay, I'm cool, I'm satisfied. Law Leader just had to go. They screwed up. If they were working with just the stuff from OP07, I think there would have been ways to like balance things to where you don't have to ban the leader, but they just screwed up with Black Maria and Pudding, and just on top of already having so many cards that he just takes advantage of and makes them his own kind of like overtuned cards within the deck. He has to go. It was like Sakazuki. It's unfortunate. I know, like, I'm happy to see him go. I never really played Red Purple Law, but I love Law as a character. And I've talked about this before, and it's like, I was just like, once I saw this, I was like, oh, like, we knew it was coming. We knew Law was getting banned. It wasn't like a big surprise. But when you actually see it happen, you're like, oh my god, yes, thank you, finally. But, you know, I know a lot of people love playing Red Purple Law, so shouts out to you guys. Like, I'm sorry, but it's just like not fun for anyone anymore at the end of the day. Like, OP08 meta has been pretty terrible over here in Asia. Like, one of the worst metas I've ever seen in One Piece, probably worse than Sakazuki. And yeah, it's just terrible. Because this time it was a little bit different, because there was kind of two big bads, like Lucci and Law, just like sitting at the top, just gatekeeping all the other decks, like making it not really fun to try out anything if you didn't want to play the same like 2 or 3 leaders. And I think hitting NES Lobby is probably the right thing to do here. Just getting the free value of the -2 every single turn once you find stage is just like insane. I think having the trigger that just plays that out of life was a huge mistake, and probably like the final straw that broke the camel's back, because as you can see, like, you notice the new Shanks stage does not have a trigger, and I'm pretty sure it's because if Shanks is really powerful, which I think he is going to be really strong in the new meta, like they're kind of wisening up to some of their past mistakes. And I understand how NES Lobby, like, it wasn't searchable, you know, so like maybe they thought they were covering their bases. Law, there's no excuse. They screwed up printing Black Maria not leader locked, and Pudding not leader locked, and just giving him so many cards. Like, there's no excuse. Bandai screwed up. Really disappointed in how they like designed all that stuff, how they couldn't see that coming. When Maria and Pudding got announced for OP08, literally everyone was like, oh, this is terrible. Like, Law is going to take advantage of this, probably become best deck in format. And literally within weeks, it was just completely overwhelming. And like, if people hadn't teched Lucci to beat Law and just practiced the matchup as much as they have, like, it would have been even worse, and Law would have just been even more of the monster than he already was. So these are going into effect September 1st for us over here in Asia, and which coincides with the release of OP09. Alright, real quick, it's me from the future to tell you about a crazy announcement that just came out this afternoon. I didn't even finish recording, or I didn't even finish editing and putting up the video that I made without this coming out the following afternoon. So as you can see here on the screen from the official One Piece English version, the One Piece TCG English version, the 2 banned cards of Red, Purple Law and NES Lobby are going to go in effect for the English Western format starting September 6th. No one was expecting this. I think we were all just kind of expecting it to go in effect when the OP08 meta started for the West, similar to how it worked with Sakazuki, Great Eruption, and Reject. Everyone in the West had to kind of play out the meta, even though they knew Sakazuki and all those cards were going to be banned. And I think a lot of people, myself included, were kind of like, man, it kind of would have been cool if they had just, done the bans a little bit early. But Bandai never said anything about it. Bandai has not really done much in the past, at least for the One Piece card game, to where we would expect them to do this. They have done some weird stuff with the English meta and the format in the past, so like a few times. So I guess, but I don't think anyone was really expecting this. There's 2 sides to this, because one thing, it's really, really cool. You guys don't have to suffer the fate of what we did over in the East with this crazy OP08 meta that really just sucks, and was not fun for like anybody. I think even the people winning weren't even having that much fun, if I'm being honest. So that's really cool. You guys get a brand new format for an entire set, which is awesome. And I know people in the West are really appreciative of that, and is like something that they kind of like really have wanted this whole time playing One Piece. I know there was like the OP 4.75 meta that was like unique for a couple weeks, but this is different from that. This is like totally fresh, totally new. And I'm honestly really excited to see what happens, what leaders come up, what people are cooking with. So that's all great and that's all awesome, but there's the other half of this where it's like, this ban is going into effect literally the week before Nats in America, I believe. And I think it's in effect. There's like a European Nats too, if I'm not mistaken. If I get any information wrong for some of this stuff, I apologize. We will need to wait for like certain things for like further confirmation. But as we see it right now, the US Nats will be still in the OP07 format, but with these bans in effect, which doesn't make sense. Personally to me at all. OP07, the OP07 meta was not ever the problem. It was OP08. Like even in the East, OP07 was not the problem. It was OP08. And I think some people kind of conflate that a little bit when they see us complaining about Red, Purple Law and Lucci and OP08. They're like, it's not that bad in OP07. It's like, we know. It was never that bad for us in OP07 either. The problem is 08. The problem is not 07. So the fact that they're doing the timing of the ban at the very end of 07 doesn't really make sense, and it's for Nats, which is like, so many people have been practicing Law and obviously builds with the NES Lobby card in Lucci. While I'm happy to see this is changing, I also feel for anyone who this is going to be very negatively impacting. And I know some people are really willing to take on the challenge and adapt and brave into this new meta and see what they can do and try their best to still win. But can't deny that it does suck for a lot of people, and it's kind of Nats is just such a big tournament. There's so much riding on it that you can understand why some people will be frustrated. I know I do. Bandai is just so weird, dude. It's even when they do the right thing or they do something that's oh wow, that's awesome, and then yeah, but it's a week before Nats and it's still an OP7 meta. It's wait, what? I appreciate what you're doing, but you're doing it in a weird way. So even when they get the dubs, they take an L for just how weird and confusing things are at the very least. But that's the update. we'll have more information soon, I'm sure. I don't think anyone's expecting this to come out this quickly. So at the very least, right, that's kind of cool. Bandai is being very quick about their changes and announcing things, and hopefully we'll have some like double kind of confirmation and just get some more info about what Nats will be like. And I am personally really looking forward to the new meta, so that'll be really cool to see. I'll be having my fun playing it on the sim with you guys if you're over in the West. But yeah, that's it. So that's it for the little update. So now back to you, me. Besides that, that's about all I have to say for the bans. I'm excited to see what the new meta is going to be like. I think some of the new OP09 leaders like Shanks and Black Purple Luffy are going to be really strong. I do think this opens up the door for Bonnie to come back in. I think Bonnie, even like Carrot, some mono green leaders might have a chance now if Lucci. But like even without stage, Lucci is still going to be kind of a menace because there's already stageless builds that like do well, you know. So we'll have to see how that goes. But I do think like Blue Dofi for the first part of OP09 is probably going to be tier 1. I think like Bonnie and some green decks might come back in for the first part, and we'll just see. Like it's going to be fun to watch. The first like month or so of OP09 is going to be really exciting, and I can't wait. I honestly cannot wait for Law and NES Lobby to be gone. And again, shout outs to all you Red Purple Law players out there. Like GG's, taking one for the team, but it's got to happen, man. It's got to happen. And we'll see what the new meta looks like. But for now, that's it. That's the ban list. So here at the end, I just want to ask, like, what do you think? Those are all my thoughts. What do you guys think? Do you think the bans are good? Do you think they're bad? Do you think it's not enough? Do you think it was too much? Are you a law defender? Do you think that people are just complaining? But yeah, let me know. What do you think? Are you excited for the new cards? Do you think Gold D Roger is gonna be busted? Do you think the new like 9-cost Luffy is mid? Do you think Buggy is good? Do you think Buggy's bad? I'm more on the side that Buggy is actually pretty decent, and in the right hands, the right pilot is gonna make him really, really strong. Yeah, or like what other leaders that are already, do you think like Nami is going to come back? I know people are kind of speculating that. Are you a Reiju believer? Let me know down in the comments. Let me know what you think. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.